We break down this absolutely loaded running back class next on the Unbearable Sports Podcast.
We're going to take the North and never give it back.
So that's a good pick. You get the corner. I got to go bold, right? I got to go bold for this.
Yeah, she's got some nice.
Welcome back to the Unbearable Sports Podcast. I'm your host, Brad Barron. Make sure to like and subscribe if you're out there on YouTube, and rate the show 5 stars everywhere that you get your podcast. What's going on, everybody? We have a positional profile today. We're breaking down everything that you need to know about this loaded running back class. And quite frankly, we're probably going to go through close to 20 different players out here. And hey, if you still want even more content, you can download our new draft guide that we just dropped today. Link down below in the description. It's completely free. You don't have to be a subscriber. You don't have to be a supporter. You don't have to do anything like that. Just simply click the link. You can download it. But we do improve this, or I improve it all the time. So probably in 2 days, version 2 is going to be out. Just loading it up with more and more draft content, because right now it's about 98 pages of just pure profiles. I think there's 26 different running backs, basically all the draftable running backs that you could think of. I have covered inside of that free draft guide. So make sure to like and subscribe and follow the show however you want, because then you can get the new updates. It's completely free. You don't have to be a Patreon or anything like that. So make sure to download that. And yeah, let's get right into this, because it is a loaded running back class. And right now with the Bears, DeAndre Swift might be the starting running back, and we do have Quinshon Judkins, but it still feels like the Bears are one running back away, that they probably want to add someone, because also too, it was under Ben Johnson that they traded away DeAndre Swift after 1 year of him being inside of the Ben Johnson system. He wants someone that is very reliable. And you see what they did with the running back position, getting David Montgomery and Jahmyr Gibbs to really kind of bolster that backfield to get what he's scheming up. So it feels like the Bears are going to draft one. And that's why what we're doing today is we're not just going to do my top 10 running backs. What we're going to do is we're going to break down the different positions where the Bears could potentially find a running back, and at what drafts should they be looking. Like, hey, is there somebody good in the 7th round, in the 5th round? We'll be breaking down some of the sleepers for the Bears. And also, I kind of have cool little nicknames about where exactly some of these picks and who are kind of hiding out there for the Bears. So without further ado, let's get into it and start talking about this number 10 pick and what running backs might be available to the Bears at that number 10 pick, because I know that there's a big debate. Would the Bears go running back at number 10? And to me, yeah, I think there's no question that they would go with running back at number 10, especially when you see Ben Johnson, seeing what happened firsthand when they ended up going with Jahmyr Gibbs with, I believe, the 12th pick in the NFL draft. And that's why at the number 10 pick, what I'm kind of phrasing this is, at that number 10 spot, there's running backs that I call the no question running backs. Like, there's really not a lot of questions to these running backs games that would be available to you at number 10. And obviously, we're going to preview the number 1 running back in the class, consensus number 1. It's Ashton Jeanty, running back out of Boise State. No surprise there. I think we all know who this guy is. Countless reviews, but basically what you need to know: 5'8", 211, coming out of Boise State, PFF's number 1 graded running back 2 years straight. It just absolute crazy production, rivaling that of Barry Sanders, having 2,595 rushing yards, an elusive grade of 215. You'll see this elusive grade today, where good running backs have it at like 130, 140. That's really good. Ashton Jeanty's like, nah, dude, I'll get 50% plus that. I'll get 215. Absolute crazy. When you put on the tape, the way that he wins, it's the yards after contact, very low center of gravity at that 5'8", but also being 211, he's got a lot of great mass on his frame, and he just glides. It's just simply put, he just glides out there. He's going to pound into you. He's going to stiff arm you to the side, but he's just such a difficult tackler. And I always go back to what Daniel Jeremiah said about Ashton Jeanty. He's like, simply put, this guy does not go down on first contact. He just simply will not, because he's just has the grit. He's got the center of gravity. Like, he just flies out there. Now, some of the question marks that do come up. And like I said, there's really not a lot of questions to these two running backs that I'll be talking about. Ashton Jeanty, to me, though, when you're nitpicking and saying, hey, you have Saquon, you have Bijan, they did it arguably against better competition, but also too, I liked their complete profile a little bit better than Ashton Jeanty. I liked how I felt like their game would translate better to the NFL. Jeanty, not saying he won't translate to the NFL, it's just with not necessarily his height, but more so that running style of being more of like a bruising and powerful running back at 211, going over to the NFL where everyone's a lot bigger. I don't think he's going to have as much success, but I still think he's going to be a phenomenal running back. And that's why I do like the idea of him going to the Bears at 10. You're talking about an elite player, a very, very, very good player. And quite frankly, I've said this on this show, I'm not a big fan of a lot of the players that are going to be available at number 10. I think that it's more of a late first round type of a draft. That's why I'm team trade back if you don't see an elite player like an Ashton Jeanty out there, because there's just not a lot of them out there. Last year, it was loaded with elite talent. This year, more so loaded with good talent that you can get later on. So that's why I'm team trade down. But if Ashton Jeanty's there, I'm fine taking him just because he gives you a lot of upside and a lot of superstar potential that a lot of these running backs don't necessarily give you. Also, too, something that I'll be calling out a little bit. I'm kind of having fun with this metric where I'm looking at 75th, within the 75th percentile of both production and also athleticism. And if someone's in that kind of magic quadrant of athletic and also has produced in college, I'll call it out because it's kind of a nice guideline of they're going to be successful. And Ashton Jeanty, as you probably imagined, is one of those players that falls in this magic quadrant of 75th percentile and above for both production and athleticism. But like I said, that's enough talking about Ashton Jeanty. But let's go into a second player that I actually believe falls in the first round conversation for the Bears. I do not expect this person to be in the second round. I know that Pro Football Network and other mock draft simulators have him going in the second round, but Omarion Hampton is someone who is not going to be there. I would bet that he's not going to be there because this is a copycat league. And quite frankly, Omarion Hampton is also too good to go into the second round as well. He's the running back out of North Carolina, 6 foot, 221. And right now he's the consensus 30th player overall. Reminds me a little bit of Deuce McAllister because just the size. And for those that remember Deuce, he could run. And Omarion Hampton ran a sub 4.5 40 time. So he's got the wheels, he's got the size, he's got everything that you want at the running back position. And that's why I don't think he's going to be available in the second round. And quite frankly, I'm seeing him climb higher and higher and higher. And also keep in mind too, the Lions, what they did with Jahmyr Gibbs, they drafted him, in the, right at like the 12th pick or so. The Bijan Robinson went earlier before that and was kind of the Ashton Jeanty coming out of the draft. Jahmyr Gibbs was someone who's projected to go, early second, late first, ends up going a lot higher to the Detroit Lions. And like I said, with the copycat league, I think running backs are now getting a little sexy right now because of what Saquon Barkley did. And I think that because of that, you're going to see someone like Omarion Hampton go a lot higher than expected because, yet again, the kind of tier, the no questions in the running back game, Omarion Hampton really doesn't have a lot of questions in his game. And it's kind of sad because he's really good, but I think he's not getting as much love as some others just because of everything else that's going on. Everything else that's going on with like Ashton Jeanty. But really with Omarion Hampton, you're really nitpicking, like I said, with these first round players. Like I said, he showed the speed and the 40 time, but still, I still question his kind of big playability when you put him up against other first round running backs, because he's not a Jahmyr Gibbs when it comes to home run hitting. Same thing with like an Ashton Jeanty. He is a power profile, but he still has the raw speed to outrun players. I just don't think that he's going to be Saquon Barkley running by people as a first round running back. So that's where it is technically a negative, but yet again, a nitpicky negative at that, just because I always have to call out a weakness. But really, Omarion Hampton, he gives you the vision. He gives you just this. He brings the boom with any time that he runs. And that's why he's someone that if the Bears want to trade back, he could be somebody that is there and in play for the Bears in the teens. And heck, I think that we're going to start to see some crazy mocks saying that he's going to be in the 10. Just forewarning you, because I think that he's going to be very good. And I guarantee you there's going to be some mock drafter out there that probably says, hey, exactly what I talked about with Jahmyr Gibbs and him. But really, Omarion Hampton, phenomenal player. Expect him to go in the first round. So now, that's kind of the first round tiers, right? RB1, RB2, consensus. So now we get into the second round where the Bears have picks 39 and 41. And my kind of piece that I throw out here for it is I'm calling this the Ohio State running back group. Now, I do know that there's other running backs that can potentially go into the second round. Don't get me wrong. I'll talk about that next at the next tier of running backs. But with this, I just wanted to group these guys together because these two, Treyveon Henderson and also Quinshon Judkins, they're two running backs that are just kind of tight at the hip. You kind of go, which one do you like better in the second round? And also, before I go into this too, Omarion Hampton also fits into the magic quadrant of being both athletic and productive. So good signs for success. Because actually, with these Ohio State running backs, Treyveon Henderson fits into the magic quadrant and Quinshon Judkins actually does not. So first, let's just break down Treyveon Henderson. So like I said, he's both productive and athletic, reminds me a lot of Aaron Jones, and his strength, to me, he is a do-it-all back. He is someone that can catch. He is somebody that can run. He's got, great speed to be able to just outrun people long term. And yet again, if you don't get a running back in the first, one of these Ohio State running backs should be available to you. Treyveon Henderson, 5'10", 202, so good strength profile. Like, we were just talking about Ashton Jeanty being kind of that 211 profile of a running back. But Treyveon Henderson, this guy just does everything. He's that Aaron Jones type. But the one thing that kind of the negatives, a lot of times when he's running, I don't see a lot of changes in his speed. He just kind of has one gear that he kind of shifts to. It's a very, very fast gear, but when you see a lot of the other running backs, they'll slow up as they try to go through the hole and then burst through. Treyveon Henderson just seems like as soon as he just goes to 0 to 45 and just flies. And that's all he does, right? He's still fast, but he just doesn't kind of change that speed at all. Also, too, Treyveon Henderson does have an extensive injury history too, and a little bit of his vision I don't necessarily love, but still, Treyveon Henderson, good runner, just good running back out there overall. And like I said, in that magic quadrant for running backs. So what about Quinshon Judkins? Quinshon Judkins is more of a power type of a runner. Even though he's 6 foot, 221, so he is thicker, but also too has the NFL speed. He blew up the combine with his 40 time. Very, very, very athletic at the position, but also gives you a bigger power profile. Reminds me a little bit of Joe Mixon, just from overall, but I still feel like I could maybe change that up just because he'll throw a stiff arm. He'll lower his shoulder and just bulldoze you over. Like Jeanty is going to smack you and just kind of rip you off. Judkins is going to just kind of pop you. Now, because of this, a lower elusive rating at 69.3. So overall, does not break more tackles than some of the other running backs that we'll see. Said how he will win is just kind of try and destroy you, which is always kind of good. The only other thing that kind of scares me away a little bit is just when he was going against good competition at Ohio State, he had on average less than 4 yards per carry, which is a little bit scary. Because like I said, he's got everything that you want. He's got the size, he's got the speed, but why did you struggle against some of these Big Ten teams? So that's where too, for me, I've said this before in some other shows. If the Bears don't get someone like Ashton Jeanty, I'm actually kind of fine with passing on some of these Ohio State running backs and looking a little bit deeper at some of these running backs that we'll be going through, just because I'm not necessarily in love with one of these Ohio State running backs. And if you're watching on YouTube, if you disagree and you love one of these Ohio State running backs, let me know down below in the comments. And again, if the Bears drafted one, I'm not going to be like, oh man, our season is ruined. I'm going to be more so like, I'll be happy about it because they're good players. They're good players. It's just feels kind of like a coin flip of which one do you like better, just because they are just solid running backs. So now let's get into this third round range, kind of this second group of running backs where I feel like these two running backs in particular are kind of going up, kind of going down, but really it's the day two running backs because I just kind of have them in their own group. Two of these guys are fit into this category, and I think that it's that next tier down. And the first one I want to talk about is Kaleb Johnson. Kaleb Johnson is, to me, the Jordan Howard of this year, 6'1", 224, coming out of Iowa. And I like him. I like this guy a lot. And like I said, I haven't done my full big board, but I just go back and forth on these day two running backs with the Ohio State ones and Johnson, and then we'll go through Cameron Skattebo. To me, Kaleb Johnson should go in the second round. I really like his tape. And I think a lot of people are getting scared off by his 40 time because it was like 4.5 something. I think that it was kind of a little boasted about it. He kind of boasted. His camp was kind of talking about, oh, he's going to run fast. Don't you worry. And it was lower than what people expected. But yet again, it's just a number. And a lot of times with those 40 times, you can't look at the specific numbers, so to speak. If it's terrible, then yeah, you kind of turn your head and go, okay, that was really bad. But for that, he didn't run a terrible 40 time at all. And two, when you put on the tape, I have this as one of his weaknesses that I did see him get brought down from behind a good handful of times. But also the reason why he got brought down so many times was because he was blowing through people and just trying to turn a normal run into a big gainer. He's very powerful. People fall off of him. I think that he's got a good career in him at the NFL level. And if the Bears want a power profile, that could potentially be there in the third round. I hope that he ends up going in the second because he's just that good. Because he might even be my running back 3, to be honest with you, just because I like how he catches out of the backfield, just very fluid and just gets simple yards. He just makes things look easy. Now, yet again, not a home run hitter at the NFL level, I would expect, but still just someone who's going to give you very good production. So Kaleb Johnson, big fan of him. He's the consensus 65th player overall, running back 5 on the consensus big board, but still very good player. Absolutely, really, really like this guy. Not in the Magic Quadrant, but doesn't mean he's going to be awful now. But just a good player. But now let's go to the other running back in kind of this day 2 mold. And this one, when we were doing our mock draft madness, I was really surprised at how down a lot of you were on this player. And that's Cameron Skattebo out of Arizona State, 5'9", 219. Measured in a little shorter than I think a lot of people expected, because I think it's actually like 5'9.5". But this guy reminds me of David Montgomery. He's the consensus number 80th player overall on the consensus big board, running back number 6. And this guy we've seen at the NCAA level consistently break tackles. He had the second most broken tackles, but he also had 10 fumbles since 2022. And the big reason, another reason why he reminds me of Monty, is he's just very laterally shifty. He's not, the way that he shifts is very side to side, good contact balance, just like David Montgomery, very difficult person to tackle, similar to that David Montgomery role. And that's why I think that the Bears and Ben Johnson might be looking at him going, this guy gets the tough yards, shifty, but yet again, not necessarily good with the long speed. So someone that's not going to be picking up those home runs, but he's going to be picking up those shorter yards. I also feel he's got that dog in him. When you see him running, he's just got that dog in him that he's going to just be fighting people off and trying to just toss people aside. This is just a good football player. Just a good football player. If he's there, and chances are he should be available to the Bears in the third round. And that's why I kind of like some of these players as complements to a DeAndre Swift type. And yet again, if you can wait until that, third round pick, not too bad. Let me know. Are you Team Skattebo? Are you not? Because I think that he's a very divisive player. And I said this too when we were doing the mock draft madness. When I first saw him, I was really down on him. I actually had him very low because I'm like, he's not getting what I want. I don't necessarily love a lot of his tape. And then I watched a couple more games, and that's just kind of how the tape is. Watched a couple more, and I'm like, okay, I like just how he fights people off. I like just the grit that he does play with. So a little bit higher now, kind of still have him in kind of where people are projecting with him. Have him more kind of leaning as a second round grade, but still, I like Cam Skattebo, like Kaleb Johnson. Yet again, good running back class. If the Bears walk away with any one of those, you celebrate. You have fun with it. So now we've reached the point where now the Bears, we have some time until pick 148. But I just didn't want to not bring up some of these others because I know that there's people out there going, what about this guy? What about this guy? Because there's a couple running backs that are starting to sneak up a little bit into that third round conversation and getting a lot more love, especially two in particular that are both Magic Quadrant types of players. So let's go into where we have no picks in round 4, which I'm calling borderline running backs, because these are the borderline people, like I said, that originally were like, oh, these are day 3 players, and now people are watching them going, okay, they're good, and they're having very good pre-draft processes as well. So now people are like, okay, now do I draft them with pick 72 with the third round, or as Ryan Poles likes to do, potentially a trade down, and then you can pick up one of these running backs. And now we're also kind of getting into the whole sleeper type of pick. Like I said, the Bears, if they don't get Ashton Jeanty, I still feel like there's some pretty good running backs down there. And we'll start off with this one. Dylan Sampson, the running back out of Tennessee. Right now, he's the consensus 100th running back, RB8 on the consensus big board, and projected to kind of go, like we said, in the 3rd to 4th round. He was projected later in day 3, starting to fly up boards, and now I kind of expect him to go in round 3. He reminds me a little bit of J.K. Dobbins as well coming out, because J.K. Dobbins really won with a lot of his speed. He wasn't necessarily like one with shiftiness, not saying Dylan Sampson isn't shifty, but it's J.K. Dobbins won with his pure speed. And that's exactly how Dylan Sampson runs. He's got some pretty good size to him. He's got some good speed. PFF grade was the 13th best running back in the NCAA. Also elusive grade of 107.5. And really it's just the pure speed and just being difficult to tackle with his good contact balance. But also something that I think is a little bit different is a lot of running backs, they win with, a lot of times they win running to the outside, where it's just like, hey, give this guy the ball, they'll bust it to the outside and make a big carry. Sampson was very good at inside carries. A lot of it was, hey, let's just hand the ball off to you. You can run it in between the tackles, find where you want to go, and then fly. And that is something I really, really like about Dylan Sampson's game, is he pairs up the good athleticism with the good production. 1,488 yards rushing the football last year for Tennessee. Just very, very good. Now, this goes back into some of the other players. 4 fumbles in his only year as a starter. So not great. And also something that I kind of don't necessarily love about his game, because all of us Bears fans, we go back to Justin Fields. Dylan Sampson has a spin move, which he'll kind of throw out there. Like I said, he'll use his speed and contact balance to fly by you. I think Ashton Jeanty's better at that, obviously, as an elite prospect. Sampson, very good at it, but his go-to, I'll make you miss move is the spin move. He's got to learn something different. He's got to learn something different, because he's one of the only running backs that does utilize that. And I just get flashbacks to Justin Fields getting smoked, fumbling the football, trying to hit that spin move. But really, Dylan Sampson, someone that is projected to go kind of more so in that 4th round, but still could sneak up into the 3rd. That is a good person. I know that there's a couple of you that really like Sampson. So now let's talk about another player that actually is one spot above Dylan Sampson, and also someone that is inside of the Magic Quadrant, so productive and also athletic. And that's DJ Giddens, the running back out of Kansas State. This guy is not getting enough love. He's the consensus RB7, number 99 on the big board, and on the consensus big board. Kind of reminds me a little bit of TJ Yeldon. But man, when you get later on into the different rounds, you'll find that there's a lot of specialists, that they do one thing in particular very, very well. DJ Giddens does it all. He's 6 foot 212, so he gives you good running back size. He's got obviously some of the weight. He also has 6 foot height, so you like that. 2-year starter at Kansas State, 114 as his elusive rating. That's very good. But also too, I like his shiftiness. He just he kind of can hit some different moves and be able to break those tackles that when we go through a lot of these running backs, a lot of times they're just bigger and faster than some of these players. Giddens makes people miss. And also, he's just good. He's just good across the board. He's someone that can block. He's someone that can catch. I wouldn't be surprised if DJ Giddens were one of those running backs that people are he's just good. You just want him on the team. Someone that is going in that 3rd to 4th round range. I really like him. And also too, what's his negative, right? Couple things. I don't necessarily like his pad level. So he plays very high, which means he stands up straight a lot of times. When you really look at players, they're usually a lot lower. They try to win that leverage game. Giddens, very upright runner. Like to see him just get down a little bit more. But also too, yet again, there's the 40 times and other things like that. I still just didn't see a next gear to his game. Didn't see that kind of elite speed that you would see someone that kind of trickles into that 2nd round, that 3rd round, but still overall, very good running back. Just really like his tape. If you haven't, go watch some DJ Giddens. Just a very underrated player. But yet again, it's that pop that I don't necessarily see that would put him in that day 1 type of category or that 2nd round category. So that's then there's also one other player inside of this borderline running backs I do want to cover. And that is, I've been talking about this guy before. And also he makes me realize how many running backs do have fumble issues. And that's Bhayshul Tuten, Virginia Tech running back, 5'9", 206, who I've just described, 49er running back. If you just copy and paste what a 49er running back is, that's Bhayshul Tuten. He has ran at a 23.2 miles per hour max speed. I think that was at the Senior Bowl. Also, he blew up the combine with his 40 time. I think it was 4.32. Very, very fast running back. You see that pop on tape. Transferred over from North Carolina A&T. Had an elusive rating of 143.2. So blazing fast, can break tackles, 6.3 yards per carry. Now the biggest negative, it's 2 things. Or actually, you could say 3 things. For one, he's got a very high fumble rate. I don't have the exact number, but the guy fumbles a lot, just like some of these other running backs we've talked about. Also, too, don't necessarily love his vision as a running back as well. So if the Bears want to go with more of a gap system where you say, hey, that's the hole, run through it as fast as you can, I don't mind that, because then you kind of eliminate one of those aspects of his game and you just say, you're really good at just flat out just running through, breaking tackles, because it's physics. He runs faster than everyone else. He's dense. He can just kind of plow through a bunch of people. He's good. But that's where in the gap system, I like him more in that sort of a system. Another thing too, not necessarily a receiver. I see people also comping him to someone like a Khalil Herbert as well. That's why I have him as Raheem Mostert. But really, it's that type of a mold. He is a runner that is just going to kind of just speedy, fast, quick runner. I wouldn't even be surprised if he goes in the 3rd to someone like the 49ers or the Dolphins just because of his pure raw speed. Also, he's the consensus RB9, number 115 overall on the consensus big board. So let me know what you think about some of those running backs kind of in that no man's land inside of the 4th round. Is there anyone that I missed? Because we're going through a lot of these, but there's other players that I know some other people really do like. I won't go through these too much, but like Devin Neal out of Kansas reminds me of Devin Singletary. I'm not a huge fan of him. Like just with the tape, I'm lower than consensus on him, but someone yet again projected to go more so in that 4th and 5th round range. And another player too that I just want to talk about because I thought this guy was, I was really rooting for him because he was absolutely elite in his sophomore season. And that's Ollie Gordon II out of Oklahoma State. Someone that I put his comp as Trent Richardson because, yeah, even though Trent Richardson wasn't 6'1", Trent Richardson was afraid of contact. And that is the thing that when I saw his tape, if you rewatch the tape, right, if you're a huge fan of Ollie Gordon, watch a full game. He just, I felt like I was out of a scene of draft day because you put on the tape and whenever there's like, he has to go in between the tackles or something like that, you can literally see him go like, okay, Ollie, take a deep breath and go, right? That is the thing that kind of scares me with him. He's huge. He's big. He's got the NFL size that you want, like the ideal NFL size. It's just for some reason, I think that he's going to be someone that is either, if he gets it together, he's going to be not just good, he's going to be great. But I feel like he's probably going to go on the other side of the spectrum where I just don't see it. I just don't see him like wanting to hold up in the NFL. So that's why I'm a little bit lower. But hey, I wanted to be high on him. I know that there's a lot of people that are high on Ollie Gordon, but yeah, yet again, projected to kind of go in that 4th round. But someone that if other people in the NFL see it like I do, I could see him dropping all the way down to like the 7th or the 6th and people going, that being kind of the story of what was going on. So that is one name that I'm really curious to see what ends up happening with him. But now let's get into the sleepers, the picks inside of our, like for the pick 148. That to me, I think that there's a lot of sleepers out there that the Bears could take advantage of. So getting into this, I'll talk about my favorite running back of this class as a sleeper. If I were to put a tag on it and say, this guy is a lot better. There's 2 guys specifically that we could get in the 5th round, besides like a Bhayshul Tuten who might be there, or even like a DJ Giddens. This guy I absolutely love, and that is RJ Harvey Jr. out of UCF, 5'8", 205, redshirt senior. And this guy to me reminds me of when I put on the Tyrone Tracy tape last season, where not a lot of people like Tyrone Tracy. And then as soon as you put on the tape, you go, who the heck is this guy? Because you're like, for anybody that watches draft film or like the highlight films or anything like that, whatever you do, you know that as soon as you get into the day 3, a lot of times you're seeing the same stuff. You're seeing a lot of like just basic movements. RJ Harvey is different. And to me, I call him the Ashton Jeanty light because he wins like Ashton Jeanty. He's all about the contact balance. His elusive rating, 122, 1,578 yards last season. He was a 2-year starter at UCF and had the 2nd most carries of 15 plus yards. This guy gets big plays. That's what he does. And to me, he's the consensus 147th player overall, RB number 12. And this is someone that, yeah, if you can get him in that 5th round range, oh my gosh, I think that this guy is an absolute stud of a player. He's got good vision. He's got the athleticism that you want. Just really, really like him. And like very similar to Ashton Jeanty, bounces off a lot of these defenders. Very, very, very good player. So I'm curious if there's other people out there that see him and go, yeah, we'll take him in the 3rd. We'll take him in the 4th. Because, man, don't be surprised if this guy is kind of that Bucky Irving type, that person that just kind of pops the next season. Because he just looks different than a lot of the other day 3, quote unquote, running backs that are out there. But some of the negatives, right? I wanted to kind of cover that. RJ Harvey is a bit older, which you do have to kind of put out there as a running back. Cause when you're older, you're going against young kids, you're going against 19-year-olds and you're significantly older than them. So that is something that kind of factors into it. Also, he's not that great in pass protection. And also too, does bounce a lot of runs to the outside. Yet again, very similar to what Ashton Jeanty was doing. I'm not saying Ashton Jeanty always bounces to the outside, but RJ Harvey is trying to find those bigger plays. So a couple negatives on his game, but man, somebody that to be honest with you, I would put up as a third round. Like in the third round, he's just that good. I love RJ Harvey. I don't know if there's any other RJ Harvey fans out there in the comments. Let me know down below if you're a big RJ Harvey fan, because I am. Now, this next player too is another person that is a sleeper. Now, I think that RJ Harvey has bigger upside than this player, but this is just a player that seemingly the comp that I have for him is D'Onta Foreman, and that's Damien Martinez, running back out of Florida, 6 foot, 217. And for those Bears fans that don't remember the great D'Onta Foreman, D'Onta Foreman came in to the Bears and, 1-year deal and just performs. And that's exactly what D'Onta Foreman did. That exact same mold. That's Damien Martinez to a T from Miami. He's the consensus 183rd player on the consensus big board. And I don't know why. He's good. He's got a 126 elusive rating, big size, just has good feet for him for the size as well. We're talking 217. He looked bigger on tape, measured in a little bit lighter. I think some people were expecting him around 230. But man, he's got good size, good quickness. That's what you want to see. And I love running backs that just simply see hole, find hole, run through hole. That's what Damien Martinez does to a T. Love it. RB number 16 on the consensus big board. Now, the weaknesses. Yet again, just think of him like a D'Onta Foreman. This guy's not a third down back. He doesn't necessarily have the top end speed to kind of outrun people in the NFL. Now, if I had on a spectrum and kind of had like, okay, what about Kaleb Johnson? I would say that Kaleb Johnson might be slightly faster than Damien Martinez. Not saying that he's like dog slow, that he's insanely slow, but still just Damien Martinez, not a home run hitter. He's a power back. He's got that profile of D'Onta Foreman. Another thing too, he's PFF's 7th highest graded running back last season at a 91.1. Very good. But also too, this guy knows how to lay down the lumber. And the thing that I love about Damien Martinez as well is he kind of gives you that Knuckles and Sonic that they had over inside for the Detroit Lions, where Martinez he brings the boom. He brings something that DeAndre Swift simply does not bring to the Chicago Bears. So good compliment from that perspective. Yet again, would probably replace what you're getting out of Roschon Johnson. And I think that's where, when we get into these day 3 picks, I think that's another question that we have to ask as well, is how much do the Bears like a Roschon Johnson? Because if you like Roschon Johnson and you like his power profile, then how much more do you like Damien Martinez over him? I think that's a big question that they do have to answer, because if you're like, hey, I think that they're about the same, why necessarily would you draft them besides just getting a better, fresher contract out there? So now, in this kind of sleeper category with the Bears' 5th round pick, there's a couple other players that I want to bring up. Now, these two players are just very fast, right? We're getting later on into the drafts, so you have less and less complete profiles on these players. And I'm going to go with Trevor Etienne, who's the consensus RB13. He's the consensus 151st player in the NFL draft. Running back out of Georgia, 5'9", 198. So slightly lighter of a build, but man, this guy's just fast. This guy is quick. This guy is just, he's a very good replacement for like a DeAndre Swift. And that's where the speed profiles, I'm curious if the Bears will actually be looking for someone like that, like a Trevor Etienne. Because all I can tell you about him is, he had less than a 100 elusive rating. You look at his rushing yards, 603 rushing yards. His yards per carry steadily decreased every single year. So why do I like this player, right? Why do I like this player if he steadily has gotten worse when it comes down to the stats? And it's just purely, the guy is a good mover. The guy has speed. He's got quickness. He's got everything that you want, and also a crazy good receiver. 62 total receptions out of 63 total targets. So this guy was not just a good receiver, he was also a reliable target in this Georgia offense. But also DUI in 2024, not necessarily too good out there as well, and also never really has received a full workload. I still really like this guy, especially if you're looking at someone that you want to get a little speedier, maybe someone that can catch the ball out of the backfield, Etienne is worth at least taking a flyer in the 5th. Also, another thing that I forgot to mention too about RJ Harvey is he's also in the magic quadrant for both production and athleticism. We're not going to see another running back that kind of fits that mold. So RJ Harvey is the lowest graded running back that actually has that kind of magic quadrant of being a good enough athlete or being a top tier athlete and also having top tier production throughout his time in college. So now, next player. So for some of you out there that watch the show, you know that I'm a Texas Longhorn fan. And this guy has steadily been going up a lot of different draft boards, not just my own draft board as well. And you might have already heard him. So I hope you've heard it from someone else. So it's not just me talking about the good word that is the Texas Longhorns, but it's Jaydon Blue, 5'9", 196 junior out of University of Texas. And this guy is fast. This guy's a very speedy person. I see a lot of other people comping him to 49ers running backs. He's kind of like the Bhayshul Tuten because he's also very fumble prone. 4 fumbles in less than 200 carries. That's not good. Obviously, that is very, 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 very poor. But also, too, not a great pass protector. So you're thinking, well, why is this guy good? And it is just his movement skills, the speed. We're just talking about Trevor Etienne being someone that moves very well. Blue moves better. He's someone that was used in a lot of wheel routes for the Texas Longhorns and was a very effective receiver at that. And the reason why, like, I put Blue and Etienne, they're kind of similar types of profiles, but Blue, very, very faster, quicker, probably a better route runner, I dare say as well. But more questions when it comes down to the fumbles. Just next level blazing speed. If the Bears want a speed running back, that's what Jaydon Blue would do to him, do for the Bears. And also my draft comp is Tony Pollard, because Tony Pollard, to me, I don't think that Jaydon Blue's ever going to be a lead back, but similar to what Tony Pollard did for like the Cowboys, where when he's that second running back, where he's not shouldering the entire load, Tony Pollard was going crazy. He would get these crazy yards. He's had this awesome speed. He could be a receiver. He could kind of do it all. But when he was asked to be the lead back, that's when you start to see him struggle. Blue, to me, number 2 running back. You should not have this guy be a starter. He's your number 2 running back, or you need like a committee around him. I don't see him as a true workhorse running back. Like, well, with some of these others, there's questions. I firmly believe that Jaydon Blue is not a workhorse back. So I feel comfortable saying that as well, even if it ages poorly, because I just feel confident with that statement. And then the last person I want to kind of put inside of this 5th round area, I wanted to just call this guy out because the Bears did in fact bring him in for a top 30 visit. And that is Brashard Smith out of SMU. He's 5'10", 194. Now, this is someone that I'm not saying is a sleeper. I'm actually probably a little lower than consensus. Right now, he's the number 182 consensus overall player, RB15. I like him. He's more of a true receiver because the guy was a receiver for the University of Miami, transferred over inside of 2024 to SMU to play running back. And quite frankly, this guy is a receiving threat at the running back position. So I think if Ben Johnson's looking at him, he's going, hey, I can line you up in the slot. I can line you up wherever I want because this guy can play receiver. And do I think that they want him as a receiver? No. But when you look at the type of players that they like, it's the Alameda Zaccheaus. It's the, Devin Duvernays. It's those players that can be a punt returner, that can make these big plays happen and kind of be a weapon inside of this offense. That's what Brashard Smith does. Now, is he super elusive? For a wide receiver? Yeah, but for a running back, not so much. He had a 77.1 elusive rating, which is not that good, and also 1,326 rushing yards, which is good. Now, one of my big fears with him is he is very light, even though that he 194, kind of on par with some of the other running backs we've talked about. But it's just, I don't see that functional strength inside of his game when he's getting tackled. he's getting tackled like a wide receiver where they fall back. You don't see a lot of running wide receivers that power through like a running back typically does. He just has a very light frame to him. Also, too, in pass pro, he looks like a wide receiver in pass pro, not a running back, where he just doesn't have the functional strength to hold up in that. So that's one of the big concerns, because he seems like a perfect third down back, but he doesn't block very well. And you kind of need a block if you're going to be a third down back, especially when we have a quarterback that we're trying to keep upright. So I wanted to call that out with him overall. But now we get into the last rounds, the 7th rounders, which I'm just kind of dubbing the specialist. Now, these are some of the players that if the Bears really wanted to just add some extra depth, they would go with these players. Do I think the Bears would? Probably not so much, just because they have other depth issues that they're probably going to want to address, unless, like we said, they do really like a Quinshon Judkins and they say, let's just take a flyer on some of these deeper players that we can get in the 7th round. So, a couple of these, I call them the specialists because when you go this far down, they really just do one thing really well, and the rest of the stuff, maybe not so much. So if the Bears want a power profile type of a running back in the 7th round, there's a couple they can go after. Number 1 being Jordan James, running back out of Oregon. He's the consensus 242nd player overall, running back number 27. And this guy, I put his biggest strength is violence. And what I mean by this is being 5'9", 205, this guy just absolutely tries to attack the next player ahead of him. And similar like what you saw, like a lot of the power profile people, they don't necessarily have the best elusive grade, so 79.7, because this guy's not elusive. This guy is, I am going to attack you, I'm going to violently hit you, and I'm just going to try and keep my legs churning. He reminds me a lot of Dameon Pierce from the Houston Texans, where it's just, he's going to be on angry runs. He's just going to keep on trying to attack who's ever in front of him. But one of the biggest things that I want to call out, because I'm higher on Jordan James than consensus. I like him as someone, especially if you can get him in the 7th round. I really like him because he's got good vision. Now, he's not a good pass protector or a receiver out of the backfield, but as just a sheer power runner that you could potentially get in the 7th, I really, really like that. But also too, 0 fumbles. We've been talking about how many people in this draft class have fumble problems. Jordan James, for someone who is violently attacking someone, think about it like a Skattebo, right? Where he's constantly gritty and he's trying to just pick up yards. The guy fumbles a lot. The fact that Jordan James is so violent and has not fumbled is very, very, very impressive. But yet again, like I said, the negatives, doesn't have great speed or burst. I think he's still decently fast, but it just doesn't have that top end speed, top end burst to his game. Not a very creative runner in open space, trying to make people miss. He's just is about as creative as he gets, is just like, I see you. I am going to punch you. I am going to hit you. I'm going to try and make you not want to tackle me, which is something that I love out of a running back. But continue going through some of these power profile players. There's also Tahj Brooks, running back out of Texas, redshirt senior, 5'9", 214. Now, he measured in a little bit lighter than a lot of people thought, because to me, he kind of reminds me of Mike Tolbert, that fullback / running back from the Carolina Panthers, where this guy, I swear he was 230 for the Texas Tech Red Raiders. He's the consensus 234th running back number 24 on the consensus big board. And this guy, his strength is strength. He's just thick frame. He's going to be a battering ram. He's just going to try and smack you in the face. And he can also catch pretty darn well. Elusive rating of 67.5. So yet again, these players are built for power. They're built for hand the ball off and trying to just smack the person in front of you. This is what he does. But it's not just that. He did break off a lot of big runs. Now the negative with this is he's a weird running back when he's in open space. Like normal running backs, they typically drift to the outside. You kind of run to the outside so that people can't necessarily catch you. And then you fly through. What Tahj Brooks does is when he's got open space, he starts veering inside for some reason. And then he gets brought down because he's slower. So weird weird stuff to watch on tape. But man, this guy, I like him. I like him yet again as kind of those, I like these bigger running backs that you can get in the 7th round. Yet again, they're not super tall, but they're someone that if you just want someone to get the ball and try to wear down a defense, Tahj Brooks, Jordan James, these are people that you can get super late in the 7th that just adds to this whole depth that people talk about with this running back class. And then the last power profile that I want to talk about is Kyle Monongai out of Rutgers, 5'8", 211. And okay, those 3 running backs I talked about, Monongai, put on this guy's tape. This guy is so much fun, or put on the highlight film, because his highlights are so much fun to watch. 1,279 rushing yards. Yet again, not a great elusive rating at 84.8. But this is he had some of the most fun film to watch. I showed it to a couple of my brothers too. They're like, this guy is just he's so enjoyable because he runs like Isaiah Pacheco, where he's just like frantic. He's just like throwing elbows at people and like throwing people off. This guy just keeps his legs going and just a feisty running back that I really like. Yet again, these running backs in the 7th round that you could potentially land, I really like. At 215, or consensus 215, running back number 20. Monongai, just a feisty guy. Now, yet again, why some of the negatives? So he can catch well, but also too, he's a little smaller at that 5'8" size. And also you just don't see the speed with his game. You don't see that next level athlete. And that's what is kind of pushing him back a little bit. But this guy he's a fighter. And yet again, this kind of goes back to whenever we talk about strength translating to the NFL, I always get a little bit weary just because you're bigger and faster than everybody else. So if your whole thing is, I can just kind of throw you off, then in the NFL, maybe it's a little bit more difficult. And that's what I kind of talked about with Ashton Jeanty a little bit too, with that whole profile as well. So now I just have 2 more people and then we'll be done. I just want to talk about the receiving backs that we could potentially get in the 7th round. Do I think the Bears will land one of these? Probably not. So I'll just fly through these. Lequint Allen is a former wide receiver from Syracuse, 6 foot, 204. So if the Bears want to get a receiving back, because as we saw, they looked at like a Brashard Smith, Lequint Allen would be someone that kind of gives you a similar profile to the game. I think Brashard Smith can break tackles a lot better. That also shows up in his elusive rating. Lequint Allen at a 56.4 elusive rating. So basically, when he gets hit by an arm, he's going to go down. He's going to get stopped. His contact balance, if you had a Madden rating system, would be like 10. It's 10 out of 100. When someone just has an arm stuck out, it really affects them. It like in between traffic, it really does affect them. And you kind of see the former wide receiver come out. But yet again, good receiving threat that's projected to go in the 7th round. He's RB 23 on the consensus big board and number 227 consensus player on the consensus big board. And then last but not least, Woody Marks, the former teammate of Caleb Williams, running back out of USC, redshirt senior, 5'10", 207. And I simply put, his strength is receiving, his weakness is rushing. So this is someone who is a 1-year starter at USC, was 4 years as a backup at Mississippi State. So actually not a former teammate of Caleb Williams, but someone that is just somebody that he's going to be 25 years old, runs a good route tree. This is someone I'm actually a little bit lower on just because I flat out did not see this guy break a tackle at all. And that's something that is a big red flag to me, where it just simply, he can run a good route, catch the ball. That's really it. So running with the football, not great for this running back. But yet again, that's why you see these receivers as running backs kind of drop all the way down to the 7th round and super far down there. So that's it. We've gone through over 20 different running backs just in this show. And like I said before, if you want to go through even more, the draft guide is free. It's down below in the description. You can download it and just watch it. As make sure to subscribe, because I'm going to keep updating that link with a newer and newer draft guide with more and more profiles, and it's still going to be free. So if you haven't already, drop a like, subscribe out there on YouTube. download the podcast as well so you can just listen to it on the go, and we'll keep you updated with all sorts of Chicago Bears news, and also draft profiles are going to be coming at you. So make sure to stay tuned. With that, Unbearable Sports Podcast, we are out.
Yeah, she's got some nice long hair, and you know that she's a bad